Hello everyone. What I'm going to discuss with all of you today is the importance of creating an addition to the Genetic Information Non-Discrimination Act of 2008, otherwise known as the GENO Act. This specific act is important for the health of the public because it is a federal law that prohibits health insurers and employers from discriminating unfairly against Americans because of what is in their DNA. This means that no matter what a person's DNA may consist of and the possibilities that they may or may not develop a medical illness or disease, they cannot be discriminated against. There are two main parts of the GENA Act that are both important. First is Title I, which prohibits discriminates by health insurance based on genetic information, and then there's Title II, which prohibits employers to discriminate against genetic information. Title I is also coordinated with the Employee Retirement Income Security Act of 1974 and the Public Health Service Act and the Internal Revenue Code, as well as through HIPAA. All of these acts contribute to reasoning and lawfulness of the first part of the GENA Act. To dig deeper into an explanation of the Title II section, it not only prohibits discrimination for employers, but it makes it illegal for them to request, require, or purchase genetic information for their employees and cannot, in any way, shape, or form, influence their decision for hiring, firing, job assignments, and even promotions. However, there are 5 congressional findings that helped create the final GENO law. And these are important as we dig, and I will explain why as we go further into. The first finding has to do with information about the genetics, origin of disease, and determination for early detection of the disease. This allows the use of genetic testing for individuals to take steps to help reduce the possibility of what they will contract, a disorder or disease. This is important for the proposal of extending the healthcare discrimination because either an employer or health insurance, just because a person's paternal or maternal genetic history should not determine if they get hired or not, or fired, or if they have affordable health care just because they might have cancer cells, or they might have those cells and that type of information. The second finding was based on early science of genetics that prompted a sterilization law. Sterilization laws were to become the foundation of state laws that was to correct the apparent genetic traits or tendencies such as retardation, mental illness, epilepsy, and many others. And then there was the third congressional finding that has to do with disorders related to racial and ethnic groups' genders. And then there was the fourth finding, in which having to do with discrimination within the workplace. You hear all the time that people, and more than ever, people are discriminated for their color, their sex, their gender, their sexual orientation, their religion, anything. People are, even their disabilities, they are discriminated against. I myself, as a medically retired veteran, am discriminated against because of my disability rating. And even though employers are not allowed to ask for that information, people still find a way to get the information. And health insurers, they know that information because they need your medical records and your history of it. And that ups the price. That ups the price of health insurance, co-pays, medications, what we have to pay versus what the insurance will cover, and the percentage ratios. All of that comes into effect, and it needs to stop. People should not be discriminated against anything when it comes to health insurance and future employers. And so this brings me to the fifth and final finding, that is that a federal law addressed the genetic information discrimination in health insurance and employment. So what it's saying is not every state has adopted these laws, but the purpose of this is to prevent any sort of discrimination anywhere. However, even though not every state has these laws. Federal legislation establishes a national and uniform basic standard for protection against any sort of genetic discrimination or employee discrimination. And it has become relevant more and more each and every day that a person in this country struggles to find a job and a good quality and affordable health care plan. It is not right or fair, and I believe that every one of you will agree with me that it is not right or fair. It is broadcast across the country through almost every social media out there, between Facebook and Twitter, all of the news channels, advertisements, magazines, email, spam, all of that. But we need to start somewhere with change, and the change starts now in our county, and bringing it to the state's attention and then the country's attention, and we need to start somewhere. So agreeing with this, or passing this proposal of making healthcare affordable for everyone, brings a lot of light to the country that people are afraid to go to the doctor because of the bill that they're going to get in the mail. And that bill can prevent them from, buying a house. If they can't afford it, it goes against them for buying a house and, moving their life forward and all of that. So for a personal story of myself, I recently took my almost 2-year-old about 2 months ago to the emergency department to be seen for fever and lack of hydration because she was not drinking nor feeling well. And I just received my bill in the mail just the other day. And you know how much it cost to check into the hospital? $3,000 just to walk into the door. Granted, we have health insurance, so that's covered. But someone who doesn't have health insurance and has nowhere to turn to when their child is sick or themselves are really sick and they don't know what to do, just to walk in the door, $3,000. That is insane. That is outrageous and insane. There should be a standard pricing system, and I know everyone says that there is a standard pricing system, but there isn't. Clearly, there is not. And I understand different parts of the economy throughout the country, but we need to start where we are. We need to show that it is possible to be done. There should be a standard pricing system that is drastically lower than what it currently is. And it's not right or fair to make being seen by a doctor unaffordable for a huge population in the country. This proposal will slash the prices of healthcare industry, and yes, there will be some backlash in the first few years, I expect, but it's the benefit for the public. That's what matters, is the public. Oh, someone has to take a pay cut, a minor pay cut from what they're already getting paid, so a family of 6 can afford health care and be seen by the doctor. I see that as progress. So that is why I'm urging you to pass this legislation. It is so important to make a standard of pricing for everyone in this country. It is not fair. People, just because you're born into poverty does not mean that you should be held back by it. Just because you're born with an illness or you contract an illness or disease throughout your life, you should not be discriminated against. Everyone should be able to afford and be seen by doctors and physicians and medical staff and medical professionals instead of waiting in line at the doctor or the free clinics, that you're really not getting the care that you need because they're so in and out. It reminds me of like a fast food drive-through. People are in and out of there like crazy, so fast that, underlying issues could be being missed. And we can see, by doing this, hopefully see a change in the statistics of this country for suicides, people dying of heart disease. Maybe we can see a change if we pass this proposal to slash the prices of healthcare. And it's really important to include this in the GINA Act because of the necessity of healthcare. you can't discriminate against someone just because someone makes $20,000 a year, if that, compared to someone who makes $300,000 a year. Why does the person that makes $300,000 a year get better health care than everyone else? It should be equal. It should be equal, and that's why I'm urging you to pass this proposal, to add it to the GENE Act, so there is no discriminatory actions taken against anybody for any reason. Thank you for your time.